Continuing on with this example, in part C, we now need to compute the tangent of theta. The good news is that we have already done the difficult parts of this problem. In parts A and B, we found the sine of theta and the cosine of theta from the given information. And now to figure out the 4 remaining trigonometric functions of theta, we can just apply fundamental identities. So to get the tangent of theta, this is going to be the sine of theta over the cosine of theta. Okay, so we need to go back and use our prior results. So if I scroll up in part B, we found the cosine of theta. At the bottom of page 3, we found that the sine of theta, you can see it in the box right here, it is the square root of 102 divided by 12. So I'm going to go and jot that down. Okay, so the square root of 102 divided by 12. Okay, that's going to be the sine. Now I need to divide by the cosine, so I'm going to go up here to part B. The cosine of theta, I found that to be, oh, it's down here. The cosine of theta, we computed to be negative square root of 42 over 12. So write that down. And that's all we have to do is simplify this, and we will have our tangent of theta. Okay, no fancy work here. Okay, so let's divide our fractions. So leave the top fraction alone, change the multiplication, flip the bottom fraction. All right, so we're going to get that the 12s cancel out. So we're going to get negative square root of 102 over the square root of 42. Okay, we should rationalize our denominator here. Okay, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the square root of 42. So this is going to give me, let's see, if I go to my calculator here, I'm going to have to do 102 times 42. This is going to be the square root of 4,284. And there needs to be a negative sign out front. Over the square root of 2, or the square root of 42 times the square root of 42 is just going to be 42. Okay. This radical probably breaks down more. So, you know, I can play around with it. How would this break down? Is this number divisible by 4? And it is. Okay, so if I come over here out to the side, we can simplify this a bit. If we have 4,284, that number breaks down into 4 times 1,071. Okay. So I could say that the square root of 4,284 is equal to the square root of 4 times 1,071. This is the square root of 4 times the square root of 1,071. This is going to be, the square root of 4 is 2, so it's going to be 2 times the square root of 1,071. And I'm just going to stop there. Okay, you know, that square root of 1,071 might break down again. Okay, but this is as far as I'm going to go. All right, so the numerator is going to become negative 2 times the square root of 1,071, and the bottom is going to be 42. You can simplify the fraction. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 42 21 times. So we'll go ahead and say that the tangent of theta is just negative square root of 1,071 divided by 21. All right, and I will go ahead and box that result for you. Okay, so here we go. And I'll label it, okay, because everything's starting to get jumbled around here. Okay, so this is the tangent of theta. Okay. All right, let's move on to the cosecant of theta. Okay, again, you don't have to do anything fancy schmancy. Okay, just fundamental identities at this point. Okay, we know the cosecant of theta is 1 over the sine of theta. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll to part C here. We wrote down that the sine of theta is the square root of 102 divided by 12. Okay, so the cosecant is going to be 1 over the square root of 102 divided by 12. So let's simplify. 1 over a fraction is going to flip the fraction. Okay, so we're going to get 12 over the square root of 102 Let's rationalize the denominator, multiply top and bottom by the square root of 102, multiply across the top and across the bottom. We're going to get that the cosecant is 12 times the square root of 102 divided by 102. Okay, the 12 and the 102, those guys are even, so they're both divisible by 2. So we are going to be able to simplify this fraction. So if we do 12 divided by 102, we'll get this nasty decimal, convert it to a fraction. This is going to be 2 over 17. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say this is going to end up as 2 over 17. So I'm going to just write here that the cosecant of theta is going to be 2 times the square root of 102 divided by 17. Okay. All right, couple more trigonometric functions of theta. Moving on to the secant. Okay, my fundamental identity is that secant of theta is 1 over the cosine of theta. And so I'm just going to go up to part C and grab the cosine. We wrote down that the cosine of theta is negative square root of 42 over 12. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over negative square root of 42 over 12. 1 over a fraction flips it. Okay, so this is going to be negative 12 over the square root of 42. Rationalize the denominator. Multiply across the top and across the bottom. We're going to get negative 12 square root of 42 over 42. Okay, again, we can simplify the negative 12 over 42. Both of these are divisible by 6. 6 goes into 12 twice. 6 goes into 42 7 times. So we're going to get that the secant of theta is equal to negative 2 times the square root of 42 over 7. Okay, final answer. All right, last one, we need the cotangent of theta. All right, we can apply our fundamental identities here. Okay, we have a choice. We can use cosine over sine, or we can just do 1 over the tangent. So it's up to you, whatever you like doing. Okay, I'm gonna go with, I don't know, I'll do 1 over the tangent of theta. Okay, so I'm going to go up to part C and grab the tangent. Okay, tangent was this crazy number, negative square root of 1071 over 21. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. Okay, so we're going to have negative 1 over negative square root of 1071 over 21. Okay, so that's 1 over the tangent. 1 over the fraction means we need to flip it. So this is going to become negative 21 over the square root of 1071. Rationalize the denominator, multiply top and bottom by the square root of 1071. Go across the top and across the bottom. We're going to get negative 21 times the square root of 1071 over 1071. And I'm going to go to my calculator to see if 21 over 1071 simplifies. So let's see, we're going to have 21 over 1071, convert it to a decimal. Okay, 1 over 51. Okay, so I'm going to write down that the cotangent of theta is negative square root of 1071 over 51. Okay, box the answer. And again, that was because 21 goes into 21 once, and it goes into 1071 51 times. Okay, we are done with the problem. We took the given information about the quadrant of theta and the value of, I believe it was the cosine of 2 theta, and we were able to get all 6 trigonometric functions of just theta.